When you're talking about decent amount of money, you might also be thinking, what is decent enough? Well, for me, at the time that I worked to save for my car, I was earning about Hi everyone, how you guys doing? I hope you're doing amazing. My name is Esther, in case you didn't know that, and thank you so much for coming around. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, minimum 1,000 subscribers, and I need your support to help me, so please don't forget to click the subscribe button. Okay, so today's video we're going to be talking about how to save for a car as an international student. And you might be wondering, why is that a question? Why is that even a subject? People tend to ask me that because a lot of people know that as an international student in the United States, you cannot work off campus. You're not allowed to work off campus, and therefore you're not able to make a significant amount of money to buy a car. And so that's why people are always like, oh, how are you able to afford a car? How are you able to get a car? I didn't even know you were allowed to have a car as an international student. But all of these things are just misconceptions. You're actually allowed to have a car, and you're actually able to save for it depending on the situation you find yourself and how well you can work with what you have. Even though you're not allowed to work off campus, except you're doing an internship, which is it's special. You have to go through a lot of steps to do that. But if you're not doing an internship, you're not allowed to work off campus. That means that the only option you have is the option to work on campus. Usually that's limited. During a regular semester, you can only work up to 20 hours a week on campus because they want you to focus on your studies, obviously. But during all the breaks, whether it's Christmas break, whether it's summer, whether it's Thanksgiving, you're allowed to work full-time, 40 hours per week, and you can earn as much as you need to earn in that time. So basically, let's set it straight. What are we trying to save for when we're trying to get a car? So first things, you're trying to save for the car itself. You're trying to save for expenses such as car insurance, very important because insurance requires a lot of money. You need to save for your car registration, and you need to save for any extra repairs that you might have to deal with at first. And the whole repair thing comes in because if you're an international student and you're barely saving this money, you're not trying to get the fanciest kind of car. You're trying to get a practical car, a car that can move you from A to B, and it's going to be a car that's been used by somebody else, except you're having money from somewhere else. But if it's money that you're saving, then you're not really going to be able to get a brand new car, and as a result can come with minor issues. For example, my car, when I got it, I had to fix one of the wheel bearing, but that was just one, and it wasn't expensive. But that's one thing that I had to fix. Other than that, I've not had to fix anything from buying the car and having crazy issues at all. So you have to put that into consideration when you're saving. And so let's kind of put the calculation together. So let's say you want to get a car that's like a used car. For me, I got my car for $2,500. I was very lucky to find that. And then you want to do your car insurance. Car insurance is like super expensive, especially if you're a first-time driver, right? If you're a first-time driver in the United States, you do not have any history, you do not have a family that you can be under the insurance, you have to pay all from scratch, and so it's usually expensive. And I don't want to start to break down the details in this video, extra information, but I would just calculate $1,000 for that. So let's say for registration is usually not too expensive. It depends on your state. So let's say registration and any other extra stuff, let's put that to $500 minimum. So let's say you're trying to save $4,000 for all of these expenses. How can you do that? The number one tip that I have for you that helped me is, of course, you gotta get a job. You gotta get a job. So like I said, since you can work on campus, you can go to different parts of your school and try to see places that have openings. And usually if you go to a bigger school, you're more likely to find a job there. For me, in Berea College, it was not a problem at all because Berea College is a work-study college. So that means that you get a job anyways. And so finding a job wasn't difficult for me, but for a school that's not necessarily like a work-study college, you have to seek it yourself. So you can go to different offices, you can go to the library, you can go to the cafeteria, you can go to offices on campus and try to say, I'm a student, I need a job, and you try to find a job that pays you a decent amount of money. When you're talking about decent amount of money, you might also be thinking, what is decent enough? Well, for me, at the time that I worked to save for my car, I was earning about $8.50. It seems small, right? But it's an on-campus job. So on-campus jobs might not pay you too well, depending. It's not usually a lot of money. The reason I mention that is for you to know that you don't have to get paid like the most amount of money. You just have to try to work with what you have. So just try to find a job. It could be more than that if you're lucky, so yay, go for it. Also, another option is to get an internship. It's not always easy to find a paid internship, whether international or domestic. It's just hard to find paid internships depending on your field. So some fields have it easier, with paid internships. For example, maybe like the computer science field, they tend to get more paid internships compared to some other fields, like maybe like the medical field. But if you get a paid internship that's paying you a good amount of money that you can save from, that's also another way to get money to save. Number 2 very important tip is to develop delayed gratification. This is very important because you cannot save without having delayed gratification. You cannot have money and always want to spend it and always want to buy something because you have the money, especially when you have a goal in front of you. It's not like you're just saving money without a goal. This one, you have a goal, and so you have to look forward to your goal and kind of remind yourself during those periods that you have this desires to spend your money. If you know you want something but it's not a priority at the time, you don't gotta spend that money. Just try to work with what you have at the time. And then the third tip, this kind of connects back to the whole idea of delayed gratification. It's basically plan on how to spend your money. The whole idea of budgeting is kind of difficult, even for me. Like sometimes people ask me like, oh, how do you budget your money? Because like buying a car, they're like, oh, how do you budget your money to be able to get a car and stuff? And it's like, well, it was kind of easier to do that because it was a very specific goal in front of me. So I think that budgeting tends to be easier when you have an end goal. When you have an end goal in front of you, you know specifically how much you're looking for, specifically how much you're desiring to save, what you need to save. So I think budgeting in this situation is easier. You can already have tips that you follow or tips that you're learning, so you can always add these to those tips. So first of all, I would say that as an international student that's trying to save during the summers or even breaks in general, do not stay on campus. On-campus housing usually, except in a rare situation, is usually expensive compared to if you were going to get an apartment and maybe you were sharing with friends, getting a housemate and that kind of thing. So for example, for me, during the summer that I saved the most amount of money, what I did was, instead of staying on campus where I've paid so much money, I spoke to my friends who also wanted to get an apartment. And so basically we got an apartment and I ended up paying literally like $250 per month. Yeah, look at that. If I stayed on campus, every single amount of money that I earned, I would have spent on housing. So I was able to save simply because I chose to move off campus with my friends. Okay, so I think that's one way to save money. And then another way to save your money is to cook your meals. People, you want to treat yourself, you want to eat out and all of that, but try to control that. And that's where the whole idea of delayed gratification comes in. This summer you want to save $2,000. And let's say your total income, remove taxes and everything, is like $1,200. Just a rough estimate. You take out your savings for the car, which is like $650. I pay my rent, which was like $250 at the time. About that amount, I'm not sure. And then I'm left with like $300. And then the next main thing is like your food. You get your groceries, you get everything else that you need, your personal care products and things like that. And then you kind of work with the rest of it. And the $1,200 works for me because that's how much I earned, and it kind of fits with the standard of living here. For your city, it's going to be different. So whatever you earn, and you just have to know how you're going to divide it. You just have to think about a reasonable target for you to be able to save. Number 4 thing that I think that people would like to know is, okay, so now that you're able to save up for your car and then take care of your first expenses, how do you then keep up with the remaining expenses? Because you have to maintain your car, you have to get ready if there's any repair, you have to pay for your insurance monthly. So how do you keep up with that? For me, what I've been doing so far with my car is that I plan ahead. Every summer before a new semester starts, before a new school year starts, I work a lot over the summer, and not just even over the summer, during the school breaks, right? Every break, winter break, but more over the summer because that's really when you get the most amount of time. So I work a lot and I already know, okay, this is how much I'm going to be paying for insurance for the next 6 months. I calculated, even though I'm paying monthly, I calculated the total to have a plan on how much I'm gonna have to save. And insurance for me is the main thing. Every other thing like maintenance is usually like not too expensive. Like you want to go oil your car, like if you're not driving around a lot, your oiling is gonna be fine. Like, you're not gonna have to do it every time. So, and then what else? Kind of like any issue that can come up, you just can do a rough estimate for that. But I think for me, the main thing that I just always plan for is insurance and general maintenance. If you go to a school where you're able to make a significant amount of money over the semester from just working 20 hours, you might not need to do this over the long term. You know, you might have enough money to pay your insurance monthly without having to work ahead over the summer. But for me, I have to do that because during the semester I only work 10 hours. I don't have the energy to be working crazy in school and then working an extra 20 hours. Some people do that and that's really good, but I just cannot do that. So the point here is that you're working ahead to save all the money that you're going to need during the semester to take care of your car expenses. If there's another idea that can work for you to do that, then, you know, feel free to go with it. But this is just me sharing my own experience and how I've been able to keep up with charges on my car. I think that's all I wanted to talk about with this whole process. There will be more videos related to this, how to get your driver's license, how to learn how to drive, things like that, you know, as an international student in the United States. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.